Good evening, everyone. Hi. Welcome to All Levels Yoga. So I'd like to read an extract again from Meditations from the Mat. Asana practice is a study in interconnectedness. We come to see that a minor shift in the attitude of our big toes dramatically alters our experience of a posture. We practice breathing into every cell of our bodies, our eyes resting at one point, our awareness taking in all points. As our body awareness grows, our postures become an embodiment of nonviolence, an expression of faith, compassion, and honesty. To achieve this, we have had to face and systematically deconstruct the myriad ways in which we have chosen to be separate from our bodies. Where we have withheld love, we have had to learn to extend love. But if this lesson does not carry over to the rest of our relationships, nothing of any lasting value will have been gained. We will have failed to understand the central teaching of the asana, which is to extend love impartially. Such a simple little teaching, but it is more and more important. To ground yourself, find a way to sit that feels stable as you press into the surface that you are sitting on. After you've taken in your external environment, perhaps help draw your attention inward by closing your eyes. Time and time again, we come back to the mat, as many of you are not practicing for the first time. And it's often a sense of coming home to ourselves. As we take all the different hats that we play throughout the day in the various contexts that we need to function in, and find wholeness through all of that, despite the compartmentalization or fragmentation. Let's bring the hands together at the heart, feeling into what's there. What is your heart asking for right now in order to feel whole? Feel your breath in, completed with your breath out. And let's create the sound of Om once together to begin. Take a deep breath. And as you root down to your left and right sitting bones, now closing your lips if you can, just breathe through your nose. Let's begin to whisper the breath while softly constricting the back of your throat and sustaining your breath equally in and out. Using this Ujjayi pranayama or victorious breathing technique, as you breathe in next, sweep your arms out to your sides and overhead while still relaxing your shoulders down. Feel your palms touch at the peak of your inhalation, and then exhale, trace your thumbs down to your heart center, your navel. And let's try that twice more, linking movement to breath. Inhale as you reach your arms up. Top of the breath, palms touch. Exhale as you trace your thumbs down your center line. Bottom of the breath, palms release. Last time, inhaling. And exhaling. Let's continue this breath-led flow on hands and knees, all fours. However you want to set up your hands for cat-cow. And once you're on hands and knees, take the next inhalation to glide forward and coil your chest up. Take the entire exhalation to contract your belly and round your back. And keep going several more times a breath here. A very slow and conscious pace. As we, in a sense, come back home to ourselves, remember that this is your practice and this is your time to go at the pace that you need to give your body what it needs, your heart what it needs. And when you feel ready to, tuck your toes and on an exhalation, arrive in downward facing dog, lifting your hips high, and perhaps you explore a little movement there before you rest in stillness. Exploring the various ways that we can alter the physical practice to meet our body's needs in each moment. Let's start with a modified vinyasa, a way to come down gently. So on your next inhale, arrive in modified plank pose, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, look forward. And as you exhale, glide forward, bend your elbows back and lower your chin to touch first before sliding your belly, pelvis, legs straight. Come into a light cobra pose or even sphinx pose with your forearms on the ground, breathing in as you lightly coil your chest up. Feel that your shoulders are relaxed, tops of your feet are firming down. And then press up to your hands and knees. Let's take a moment in child's pose. Bring your feet together to touch. Knees either together or apart, as wide apart as you need, so that you can truly let your pelvis relax down to your feet, resting your forehead too. As we pause here in this universal resting position. And of course, if it doesn't feel restful for your body, if you're working with an injury in your knees or whatever it is, know that you can modify, sit down, keep your hips above your knees and extend the arms forward. A way that it is restful for you, take rest when you need. And then let's eventually meet again in downward facing dog. From there, bending your knees and looking forward, with an exhalation, step up to the front of your mat to stand forward fold. Feet apart, hips distance, parallel. Now notice if your back feels a bit tight, maybe in the lower back or your hamstrings. If so, observe if your shoulders are beginning to tense towards your neck. Bend your knees as much to release the shoulder. Fall. Weight slightly forward of your feet. And then pressing the ground or your shins with your fingertips, breathe in to glide your chest forward through the gates of your arms, lengthening halfway up. Then exhale, fold in. Firming down through your feet, take the entire inhale to sweep your arms and rise till your palms meet at the top of your inhalation. And at the bottom of your exhalation, palms releasing down by your sides. Let's go right into sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, gaze up. Exhale, bow from your hips, knowing you could bend your knees if your back needs it to. Press with your fingertips, inhale, rise halfway up. Plant your hands and step into modified or full plank with legs straight. Take your modified vinyasa or glide forward through Chaturanga Dandasana. Whether cobra or upward facing dog, take a deep breath in to coil your chest open. And let's meet in downward facing dog, steadying our bodies, our minds, and our breaths. As we continue to energize our bodies and warm them up so we can hold postures a little deeper, let's take 2 more cycles of sun salutation A. So at the bottom of your next exhalation, hold your breath out and walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. From a forward fold, inhale, press to lengthen halfway up. Exhale, bow in. From down through your feet, inhale, rise all the way up, palms meet. Exhale, bring your hands down by your sides. Round 2, inhale, sweep your arms high. Exhale, fold low. Inhale, lift your heart forward. Either step to plank, or if you're energetic and are ready to float back into Chaturanga Dandasana. Choose your way down into your vinyasa, either into cobra or upward facing dog. And then again, let's hold still for a few breaths in downward facing dog. Set your eyes on one spot, feeling all these various aspects of your asana, your gaze, your breath consciousness, your physical alignment, the space you create in your body through it, how they all work together to create the whole experience. And when you're ready, bend your knees, look past your hands. On empty breath, walk or float to the top. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise and gaze up. Exhale, mountain pose. One more sun salutation. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway step or float back. Lower in your own way. Take it all the way through to downward facing dog. Feeling the fullness of your breath in and out. At the bottom of your next exhalation, walk or float light. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, tilt. Inhale, rise all the way up. And exhale, hands together at your heart. So I'm going to face you so that I can mirror you. Bring your feet together to touch as we prepare for tree pose. Shift your weight onto your left foot, spread your toes, and turn out your right leg from the hip. So feel how your sitting bone rolls down and directs towards your inner left heel. Now press the inside of your left ankle or calf or thigh, just not the side of your knee, with the sole of your right foot, and really feel as though you're sandwiching your midline with both legs. Feel the alignment of your pelvis, balancing as much as you can the height of your two hips. Feel the engagement of your lower belly, broadening your chest. Hands could meet there or overhead or apart. However you want to play with it. Let's take a few more breaths in Vrikshasana. One more deep breath in. And as you exhale, bring your palms to meet at your heart. Bring your 2 feet together on the ground. Spread your right toes and shift your weight onto your right foot. As you turn out your left thigh at the hip, rotate the sitting bone down towards your inner right heel. And with the sole of your left foot, hug the inside of your right ankle, calf, or thigh, just not your knee. And feel that firming in towards your midline, just like your hands are doing in prayer. Feel the bowl shape of your pelvis, align as upright as possible, navel drawing in and up. So there's the physical alignment aspect. Notice how that contributes to that balance. Now the eyes can contribute to the balance. Wandering eyes or steady eyes or even eyes closed can challenge the balance some more. How's your breath contributing to the balance? Let's take one more breath in. And And exhale, your 2 feet on the ground, hands together at your heart. So feel your inner edges of your feet touching. Bend your knees and let them touch. As you sit back towards your heels, maybe even graze the floor with your fingertips. We're going to hold chair pose for a few breaths. Now, you might try to keep your hips as low as you did when you graze your fingertips onto the ground, but glide your shin bones back. Make sure that you could see your toes from where you are. And feel your lower back, that it's not hyper arching. Your tailbone is directing down. Your front ribs are sealing in towards your back. And then your chest is broad as you're looking forward or up. Shoulders are relaxed. Maybe even seal the palms. Now let's take one more in breath in Utkatasana. As you exhale, bow forward, beginning to straighten your legs. Press your ground or your legs. Inhale, lengthen forward. Step to plank or float into chaturanga. Take your vinyasa here at your own pace of breath. So we're breaking down Sun Salutation B before we continuously flow through it. From downward facing dog, lift from your inner thigh. Inhale, raise your right leg back so your 2 hips are even. Engage your belly and round forward through plank to lightly step your right foot just inside of your right hand so that your feet are hips width apart. Spinning your left heel down, keep your 2 hips facing forward, soles of your feet both grounded. Then press to your feet and inhale, raise your arms and torso into Warrior One. As we hold for a few breaths, let's bring attention to alignment. Firming the outside edge of your left heel into the earth. Spiral the inner side of your left thigh slightly towards the wall behind you. Keeping that, bend your right knee directly above your right heel and draw your right thigh bone back deeper into your hip socket. Again, observe the alignment of your pelvic bowl. Slightly lift your frontal hip bones and let your tailbone descend. Raising your arms high, maybe even seal the palms to touch. Relax your shoulders down and steady your gaze forward or up. Choose one spot for 3 more breaths. Virabhadrasana 1. On your next exhale, take your hands to the floor in plank and lower into your vinyasa of choice. You could tone it if you need to and come into cat-cow, or skip it all together and go straight to downward dog. Now side 2. From downward facing, lift from your inner thigh. Inhale, raise your left leg back. Then exhale, contract your belly. Softly step your left foot forward just inside of your left hand so that your feet are hips width apart. As you spin your right heel to the ground, your hips still face forward. And press down to both feet and rise up into Warrior One. So again, firm the outside edge of your back heel into the earth while spinning your inner right thigh slightly behind you. Maintaining that, bend your front knee right over the ankle while drawing the thigh bone back into the hip socket. Orient your pelvic bowl upright and balanced as you lengthen through your arms. Maybe seal the palms together, directing your gaze at one spot. Let's tune into the breath for 3 more here. As you exhale, lower through plank. You choose, take a vinyasa or go straight to downward facing dog. Responding to your body's energy in the moment. So let's pause in downward dog for about 3 more slow breaths, fine-tuning the balance you can listen to as you breathe through your nose. Bringing the gracefulness in your breathing into the motion of your body. As we synchronize breath and body, bend your knees, look past your hands. At the end of your exhalation, walk or float your feet together to the top of your mat. Now lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees together, feet together. Inhale, sit back. in chair pose. Exhale to rise up into mountain. So that's one full sun salutation B. Let's continue on with 2 in a continuous flow. So as you bring your ultimate focus to your breathing, let it be a meditation through movements. So start to go at your own pace. If you don't need to hear my cues, just go at your own pace. We'll finish 2 and then we'll meet in downward facing dog on the last one. So bend your knees, inhale into chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Step to plank or float into chaturanga as you breathe out to lower. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your right leg back. Exhale, set the foot inside of your right hand and spin your left heel down. Inhale, rise into warrior 1 completely. Then exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Continue through. Arriving in downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, set your foot forward so your feet are hips width, dropping your back heel. Inhale, rise to warrior 1. Exhale, lower into your choice of vinyasa or not. And downward facing dog. With your body still, gaze steady, rebalancing your breath. When you're ready, last round, bend your knees, look forward. On empty breath, lightly land at the top of your mat. Feet touch. Then inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold. Knees touching, in chair pose. Exhale to rise. So I'll do brief cues as you go at your own pace. Last round, inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale to chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step it forward. Inhale, rise, warrior 1. Exhale, lower. Ride the waves of from downward facing. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, step it forward. Inhale, warrior 1. Exhale into vinyasa. So let's meet for a few breaths in downward facing dog. Feel your fingers spread and you're rooting down firmly in between your thumb and index fingers. Roll your triceps towards the ground and release your neck. Let your head just hang. Feel your hips high as you draw your weight back and sinking down through the backs of your legs and heels. Keeping your hips balanced still, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. As you exhale, round forward and lightly step your foot just inside of your right hand. Lower your back knee and untuck the toes. With your right knee directly above your right heel and your legs hips width apart, firm down through the 4 corners of your right foot and raise your arms to come into a kneeling lunge or Anjaneyasana. As you're drawing your right hip slightly back, your left hip slightly forward, balance your 2 frontal hip bones to face your front wall and slightly lift them towards the bottom of your front ribs. So your tailbone is lengthening down. And then from here, as you raise your arms, relax your shoulders, keep firming down through both feet, especially your right foot. And with your right hand, catch hold of your left wrist, lift up through the sides of your torso, keep sliding your shoulders down, and then begin to side bend to your right with each exhalation. With the inhales, pause where you are and lengthen your spine from your pelvis. Then side bend further if you can with your exhales. Feel that your front ribs are sealing in towards your back body. Let's take 2 more breaths here. As you rise up, bring your right thumb to hook the crease of your right outer hip down. Make sure that your right knee is directly on top of your right heel. Your right foot is solid, facing forward. And then stretch your spine forward to trace the midline of your mat, breathing in. Now at your waistline, rotate your chest to face your right wall and see if you can even take your left elbow with your right hand and hook it as far as you can outside of your right thigh. Then use your right palm to press against your left palm as you turn your chest deeper into the twist. Take your time breathing in. Continue to lengthen your spine forward while sliding your shoulder blades down your back. Breathing out, hollow your belly away from your right thigh, keeping your right foot still and grounded. Continue to twist. We're going to be here for a few more breaths, and if you want to add on and play with balance, tuck your left toes, lift your left knee, and firm your left heel back, keeping the height of your 2 hips even. Let's take about 3 more breaths. Notice if there's any tension arising in your face or other things like your breath, and how that contributes to your overall experience of this asana. Nice. Look at the front of your mat. Start to rise into crescent lunge, so pick up your back knee if it's still on the floor. And from crescent lunge, join your hands at your heart, spin your left heel to the ground, and slide your right foot to the left, just enough to align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. Now you might even take your right hand to do this, but wrap your right outer hip slightly underneath your body, directing your tailbone down, and straighten your right leg, preparing for triangle pose. Firm the front muscles of your thighs, from down to your feet, and open your arms wide, gliding your pelvis sideways towards the back edge of your mat. Horizontally reach your right hand forward as far as you can before tilting your hand down, landing on your right leg or just to the right of your leg where you could firm against your leg with your right arm. As you raise your left arm up, lengthen your spine from your pelvis out through the top of your head as you breathe in. Shoulder blades down the back. And as you breathe out, feel stability in your legs. See if you can spiral your chest slightly towards the sky. So you're twisting again. A slight twist at your waist. Repeat the Trikonasana if you want to extend your left arm overhead, get a little more of a side stretch. That's an option. Wrapping the left tricep slightly to face your left wall. Let's take 3 more breaths. Can you lighten the weight of your right hand? Nice. Ardha Chandrasana. As we shift forward, you might bring your left hand to your left hip to help you with a transition. Bend your right knee. Place your right fingertips, upper right corner from your right pinky toe, about 6 inches forward. Maybe on a drag your left foot forward and flex it, lifting your heel to the height of your hip. Turn your chest completely to face your left wall again, just like triangle pose where your left shoulder stacks above your right wrist. Maybe even raise your left arm up or come into the variation of Chapasana, where you bend your left knee towards your belly with your left hand catching hold of the top of your left foot or ankle, and then kicking your left leg towards straight as if re-entering half moon while pulling in your heel towards your glute, thus opening the left side of your chest. So how does your belly feel here? Feeling alive and engaged, helping to support your balance? How is your breath flowing here? We're gonna land as slowly as you can in Warrior Two when you feel ready. So if your left knee is bent, slowly straighten it when you're ready to come out of this pose. And then softly land your left down at the rear of your mat, Warrior Two. Entering Skandasana, turn out your left leg from the hip as though you're gonna come into a wide-legged squat. Bend your left knee, making sure your knee and middle toe are pointing in the same direction. Either place your hands in your hips, or join your hands at your heart, or reach for your blocks or the floor in front of you. Begin to curl up your right toes, flexing the foot as you sink your pelvis, whatever degree you can, holding this hip opening posture for a few breaths. Now, if you're feeling pretty stable and you're close enough to the ground, you could add crossing your left arm inside of your left thigh, pressing it open, left hand to the floor, and raising your right arm, spiraling your chest towards the sky for another twist. Maybe even wrapping the right arm to catch your left thigh behind you, or clasping your fingers, or holding your right wrist. Let's take 3 more breaths. And from Skandasana, entering a wide-legged squat, make sure that both of your legs are turned out. You could bring your hands to the ground or blocks, or bring them together at your heart. And from your wide-legged squat, inhale, straighten your legs, raise your arms overhead. Pivot your left leg to face the front of your mat. Exhale, back to Warrior Two. Inhale, Warrior Two. Exhale, cartwheel your hands into downward facing dog, or first, for vinyasa of your choice. Remember, anytime your body's asking for rest, take a child's pose whenever needed. Let's take a few breaths where you are now. Meeting in downward facing dog. On your next inhale, raise your left leg and your 2 hips. And as you round forward to softly step your left foot just inside of your left hand. Lower your right knee and untuck the toes. See that your left heel is directly above your left, or directly under your left knee, and your legs are hips width apart. From down through both of your feet and rise up into a kneeling lunge, Anjaneyasana. So feel your 2 hip bones equally facing forward, your hip bones slightly lifting, helping to lengthen your spine fully. Then with your left hand, catch hold of your right wrist, firm down through both of your feet, and lift up your spine as you breathe in, stretching the sides of your torso. As you exhale, side bend to your left, keeping your left foot, 4 corners of it, rooting down. Take that side stretch, breath by breath, exploring your range here. Let your shoulders soften down your back. Let your front ribs seal in towards your back. And your 2 feet stay rooted. 1 more breath. Now rising up again, bring your left thumb to hook the outer crease of your left hip. Press it down. Feel your left leg solid and still. As you breathe in, stretch your spine forward to a diagonal. And as you breathe out, rotate your chest to face the left, maybe using your left hand to take your right elbow and hook it as far as you can outside of your left thigh. Then using your left palm, press against your right palm and turn your chest further into the twist. With each inhalation, pause where you are and feel that your roots or your 2 feet are steady, you're solid. Then lengthen your spine further from your pelvis. Shoulder blades down your back. With your exhales, hollow your belly in, away from your left thigh, continuing to twist. Now, if you did so on side 2, you might tuck your right toes, lift your right knee and come into a high lunge, but be mindful of keeping the height of your 2 hips even so that you're twisting at your waist, not your pelvis. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Inhale, look down in front of your left foot. Then exhale, rise into crescent lunge. So right knees off the floor, arms overhead. Join your hands at your heart, spin your right heel down, and slide your left heel to line up with the arch of your right foot, as though preparing for Warrior 2. Feel your left outer hip wrap beneath your body, then straighten your legs for triangle pose. Engage the front muscles of your thighs, root down through both feet, and open your arms wide. Slide your hips sideways towards the rear edge of your mat, while reaching your left arm horizontally forward as far as you can reach before tilting it down. Left hand on left leg, or just to the left of your leg, firming arm and leg against each other. Now notice as your right arm is up, you're stacking your wrists and shoulders in one straight line. Send your shoulder blades down your back as you breathe in to lengthen the crown of your head forward. Then ground your feet and exhale, twist a little bit, turning your chest slightly to face the sky. Maybe add more of a lateral stretch with your right arm extending overhead, rolling the tricep towards your right wall. Let's take about 3 more breaths here in Utthita Trikonasana. See if you can lighten the weight of your left hand. Let's prepare for Half Moon Ardha Chandrasana by looking at the ground in front of your left foot. Steady your gaze. You might like to place your right hand on your right hip to help you with a transition. Bend your left knee. Crawl your left fingertips about 6 inches ahead of your left pinky toe, out to the left corner. Then drag your right foot forward and flex the foot. Lift your right heel about the height of your hip, turning your chest completely to face your right wall, just like you had in triangle pose. Right shoulder stacking over left wrist. And see what feels right here to explore. Maybe you raise your right arm. Maybe you add Shavasana, like if you did that on the first side, where you bend your right knee towards your belly, and the right hand catches hold of the top of your right foot or ankle. As you kick your right leg straight towards half moon, you bring your right heel towards your glute. Counter forces create expansion in your chest while you stay alive in your belly. Let's take a few more breaths. Now take your time. We're going to meet in half moon pose. If you're bending your right knee, when you feel ready, slowly straighten your right leg, flex the foot again, and then try to softly step into Warrior 2. Arriving in Warrior 2, when you do, take a couple deep breaths. Now entering Degasana, turn out your right leg. I'm not mirroring you here. And bend your right knee in the same direction as your right middle toe. You can bring your hands to your hips, you can have your hands together at your heart, or reach for the floor, your blocks in front of you. Curl your left toes up, flexing the foot. Lowering your pelvis, whatever degree you can. Now, if your hands are off the ground, You could add crossing your right arm in front of your right thigh and pressing your fingertips on the floor or on a block and raising your left arm for yet another spinal twist, spiraling your chest towards the sky. And perhaps here even exploring wrapping your left arm behind your back to catch hold of the top of your right thigh, a half bind. Or adding right arm in front of right shin, where you clasp your two hands or hold your left wrist, a full bind. Wherever you are, how are you honoring your body's truth right now in this moment with a practice of kindness, compassion, and ahimsa, nonviolence? And let's take one more breath. We're going to exit a bit differently here, but first, let's make our way into a wide-legged squat. So both legs still turned out. Use your hands on the floor or not. Bend your knees. Turn open your inner thighs. Inhale, straighten your legs and raise your arms overhead. And then from here, bring your hands to your hips and parallel your feet so we can prepare for Prasarita Padottanasana, a wide-legged forward fold. So if you have blocks that you want to reach for, place them in front of you on the ground for your hands. You have the option of coming into tripod headstand, or if you practice crow, an arm balance. But let's start here, hands and hips, parallel feet. Roll your shoulders back and take a deep breath. Exhaling, hinge from your hips and let your weight shift a little heavier towards the balls of your feet. Lower your fingertips on your blocks or the floor. Then inhale, lift your chest and lengthen your spine forward, shoulder blades down your back. With belly firm, exhale, walk your hands further back, keeping your fingertips facing forward in the same direction as your toes. Now, notice how far you can walk your hands back, and it might require bending the knees. You might even be able to bring the top of your head onto the ground while your hands are further back so that you create a triangle between the crown of your head and the two heels of your palms. So if you're considering entering tripod headstand or coming into the stages of it, bend your elbows back as though your arms were coming down from plank pose into Chaturanga Dandasana. As you press your hands flat into the floor, lift your shoulders up away from your neck and make sure that it's the very top of your head that's leaning into the ground so that you honor the natural curve and length of your neck. Now, if you have any neck injuries, don't go any further. Otherwise, if you want to explore tripod head and start to engage your belly, come up onto your tiptoes and see perhaps if you can flex your feet and begin to turn your pelvis upside down, lifting your legs. If that feels inaccessible right now, instead you could climb one knee onto one upper arm, the other knee onto the other upper arm. Still engaging your belly. Maybe you stay here or you begin to bend both knees together off of your upper arms in front of you. And think of boat pose, where you might start to unfold your legs straight vertically. So wherever you are in this process or a different variation, note the totality of your experience. What is your mind attending to? What is the quality of your breath? Sensations in your body. Taking your time, if your feet are off the ground, whether you're in crow or headstand, take your time coming down, whether you climb your knees back onto your upper arms or you splay your feet apart flexed and begin to orient your pelvis right side up. Let's eventually meet in that forward fold where we came from. Crawling your hands forward to lengthen your spine halfway up. Let's add a twist from here. So I am going to mirror you now. Set your right hand on the ground or block just beneath your heart. Keep your 2 hips leveled and raise your left arm so your palm faces your left side. Lengthen your crown forward and slide your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Breathe in. At your waistline, turn your rib cage, twisting. Taking that further breath by breath. Feel the reach of your left fingertips towards the sky to help broaden your left collarbone from your sternum, widening your wingspan. Let's take 2 more breaths. You feel your pelvis twisting here. Think of tacking your right hip back. Imagine you could balance a book across your lower back. On an exhale, lower your left hand in place of the right. Rebalance your 2 hips. Lengthen your spine forward and draw your shoulders down your back as you breathe in. Raise your left arm. As you breathe out, turn your chest to your right. So right arm up to the sky. Turn your chest to the right. Little by little. Think of drawing your left hip back, keeping the balance of your hips. On your next exhale, lower your right hand and bend both of your knees and bring your hands to your hips. Leading with your chest, breathe in and slowly rise up. So let's come on down to sit. From sitting, set your feet on the ground, hips width apart in front of your pelvis. Parallel your feet. Ground your sitting bones and lift your spine tall. Reach your arms forward, palms facing up. Relax your shoulders down. Chest wide open. Take a deep breath and several deep breaths to slowly lower onto your back. When your skull meets the ground, cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh like a figure 4, turning out your right leg as you flex your right foot. Thread your right hand in the triangular space between your thighs, and with 2 hands, catch hold of your left thigh or shin, nudging your right inner thigh open with your right arm. Rest your 2 shoulders and your head on the ground as you bring your left leg closer to your chest. Now, if your right calf is pretty much right in front of your chest, you might explore cradling your right sole of your foot and your right knee between the crooks of your elbows, like your left leg forward onto the ground. Taking this flexing your right foot to help stabilize the alignment of your right index and middle fingers to clasp your right big toe, flex your right foot. Otherwise, you could hold a strap around the ball of your right foot with your right hand. And then with your left leg now straight on the floor, press your right hand on the very top of your left thigh to keep your left hip on the ground as you begin to splay out, turn out, and to whatever degree straighten your right leg. Very slowly into a supine version of hand to big toe pose. Sukta Asta Bharangushtasana. Uttita Asta Bharangushtasana. So be mindful of only taking your right leg as far to the right as you can. Feel that the back of your left hip remains on the floor. finding that balance in each posture of effort and ease, of form and grace, of focused action and softness, of strength and flexibility. On your next exhale, bring your right knee back into your chest, bend it in, bend your left knee in, and take a deep exhale to your mouth. Set your right foot on the ground, turn out your left leg, and as you flex your left foot, cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Thread your left hand into the triangular space between your legs, and use both hands to hold your right thigh or shin. Splaying your left thigh open as you nudge it with your left arm. Rest your shoulders and head down while bringing your right leg closer to your chest. Breathe. Now, if your left calf is pretty much right in front of your chest, you could practice supine single pigeon, where you cradle your left shin between the crooks of your elbows and straighten your right leg flat onto the floor. Let's take one more breath here. Now, if you're going to use the strap for hand to big toe pose, step the ball of your left foot into the strap and hold the strap in your left hand. Otherwise, use your left peace fingers to clasp your left big toe, still flexing your left foot. If you're not already, straighten your right leg forward onto the ground. Press your right hand on the very top of your right thigh to keep the back of your right hip on the floor. Then begin to turn out your left leg from the hip, straightening it out to your left side to whatever degree. You can keep your hips balanced, shoulders balanced. Feel your breath in, match your breath out. Let's take one more deep breath. And then bend your left knee into your chest. Bend your right knee into your chest. Hug it all in and take a deep inhalation. Open your mouth. Let any sound that might want to come out. Then turn over to one side. I'm going to ask you to grab your 2 blocks, and if you don't have 2 blocks, maybe it's a pillow or rolled up blanket or towel, and we're going to set it for a restorative heart opening posture, which will be our Shavasana pose. If you prefer Shavasana completely lying flat, feel free to take that instead. But since we didn't focus too much on opening the chest in heart openers, I thought that'd be a nice way to finish off. If you do have 2 blocks, one behind your head. If you're feeling pretty open in the chest, just create an equal sign out of the blocks, both on the medium height crossing your mat. Otherwise, a milder version for your shoulders is to have the one behind of your head taller. So that's the block that's further away from you. Then with your pelvis remaining on the floor, you could either extend your legs out and just flop your feet open, or you might like to come into Supta Baddha Konasana, where you bend the knees apart and bring the soles of your feet together. Then lower onto the first block so that it lands right beneath your shoulder blades, allowing your chest to rise and broaden as your shoulders descend in the space between the blocks. And then the back of your skull on the further block, making sure it supports the natural curve and space in your neck. Turn your palms to face up to help open your chest, letting the backs of your hands rest slightly away from your thighs. And just feel out that your two hips, your two legs feel balanced. They're both weighing evenly onto the ground. Your two shoulders feel balanced and relaxed. Your throat is open for your breath. Relax the muscles on your face. Soften your tongue, your eyes as you close your eyes. And then perhaps once you've settled into a comfortable position, take one last deep, controlled breath in. Hold it in for a few seconds on your own before slowly whispering it out to empty. From there, let go of controlling your breathing too. Gift yourself stillness to just practice the wholeness of being, not having to do for a few minutes. If you would like to join me for 5 minutes sitting silently in meditation, please begin to move your body into a gentle stretch, perhaps bending your knees and stepping your feet on the floor, so that in your own way you could gradually lift your body upright into a comfortable seat. Whether you're practicing gazing meditation and perhaps have a candle you're gazing at or some simple object, or maybe you're closing your eyes and visualizing as you center on something that's uplifting for you, or mindfulness meditation where you're witnessing your thoughts as you steady your attention on your breath. Choose your practice. I'm setting the timer now. your awareness back to this room that you're in, to your physical environment. Slide your palms to meet in front of your heart center. As we bow in to close, and understanding more of our interconnectedness, not only our minds, bodies, and spirits within ourselves, but our interconnectedness with humanity, with this earth, with all the beings in it. How does that invite us to expand our hearts on a daily basis? Let's practice chanting one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.